Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of Twitch. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you because this is the Captain's Table where we're talking about Star Citizen. I bring people from all over the Star Citizen universe to talk about Star Citizen. Today I've got two brand new faces of the Captain's Table, but not new faces to Star Citizen. Mr. Darissa and I did it right. I spelled it right. And TheRealKG. And we'll be talking about... as you can tell by the thumbnails, if you're watching this after the fact, or the title, we're going to be talking a little bit about logistics in Star Citizen and its kind of impact that we're going to start to see with 319 going forward, goods and bads. But before we get that all started, let's start with introducing. Let's start with you, Mr. Darissa. Dar, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
Well, I'm Darissa. I play Star Citizen. I'm not a content creator, but if you're looking to hear my voice, at least I'm on KG stream all the time. So, on Discord in the background. I think there's some sound bites that you can play of my voice as well, for channel points. But yeah, I've been playing for about 2 years now, I guess, coming up on 2 years. It's just kind of like the game that we always dreamed of playing, and we play it and we talk about it, and yeah.
Awesome. And what's the org again that you're part of? I know you this.
Yeah, FDI, Frontier Defense Industries. It's just a bunch of us friends. We get to get together and play most nights, and we don't have like we're not a RP kind of org. It's just kind of whatever we get into, whatever events are running, whatever sounds fun. We almost never accomplish what we set out to, but something else,
Something else happens, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And KG, the real KG, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
I stream on Twitch every day, but I just play Star Citizen and just do random shenanigans, honestly. Okay. I just like to create chaos for everyone else that's playing with.
A chaos gremlin?
Yeah, I'm a chaos gremlin, more or less, yeah. Or I just have chat shut down my ship all the time and I die consistently. So that's also good.
And where can they find you?
At twitch.tv TheRealKG.
Awesome.
/real.
Yeah. All right. So as I said, we're going to talk about logistics and stuff like that. But before we can get into that discussion, CIG recently announced and started to discuss the big changes to 319. One of the big changes to 319 is using tractor beams to change your loadouts through things like swap out weapons and equipment, like specific components outside of ships using tractor beams and such, as well as being able to use that to salvage components and parts from destroyed or soft death ships. So before we get started, let's just hear your general kind of take on that. We'll start with you, KG. What is your overall thoughts on that? Goods, bads, that kind of just your immediate thoughts.
I think it's a good start to like swapping components and other like missiles and guns and all that stuff, but I would like to not see it stick that way. Okay. I don't know if they have changes for the future.
What would you hope to see for the future then?
I would like to see it to where like you can hire like NPCs, or you do it yourself, or you can actually like physically move it with like by hand and not have to use like a tractor beam.
Okay.
Like more of a physical thing.
More of a physical thing. No beams.
Yeah.
Okay. Darissa, your thoughts on this initial implementation?
I mean, I was really surprised that they're kind of jumping into it. It's kind of like they have ship munching on the progress tracker, but they didn't even really have this mentioned that they were working on it. And it's a big part of salvage, and I think it's going to make components really valuable. My first thought was breaking into people's parked ships and stealing their quantum drives would be really funny. I think there's a lot of potential in the game now, and it's kind of it kind of shows the way they're developing systems where they can just kind of like they've developed everything to work together, and now with PES they can almost hit a switch and like, oh hey, we can actually do that now. Ships have item ports, you can take things out of item ports, you can put things on item ports, oh hey, that works.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right, let's talk about how this might change in like the how Star Citizen plays in 3.19, because I've at least I think a lot of people are still kind of grasping with the idea of what this means. So we'll start with you, Darissa, on this one. What do you think this means for 3.19? What do you think? How do you think this is going to change the experience of Star Citizen?
I mean, I think it could really change it a lot. There's shipwrecks are going to be valuable because components are valuable. An XL1 is what, like 100,000. The FR series of shields are all pretty expensive. If you shoot down someone's ship and they've upgraded their components and you can get them out, that's potentially. I outfitted a Redeemer. It's over 1 million AUEC to outfit a Redeemer, and if you can steal that from someone, that's a lot of potential money. I kind of hope they rebalance component costs or something, because honestly, you think about, like, okay, go kill a hammerhead in an ERT, soft death it, float over, steal all the big components, sell them. That's probably 500K.
Yeah.
It could almost completely trivialize the economy, which, I mean, that is what it is. It's an alpha, but I think there's a lot of potential for unintended consequences. But it's cool. It's really cool.
Okay. KG, how do you think this is going to change the experience in 3.19 going forward with Star Citizen?
I think it's going to change drastically. I think that, like what Dar said, being able to steal components just from like NPCs and selling components for X amount of money, like it's going to be pretty insane. And being able to use them in your own ships as well, because it just eliminates the ability to having to go and purchase all that stuff and spend millions of AUEC outfitting your ship when you could just steal it from an NPC ship, another player's ship. It's going to be pretty different for sure. And then same with like the missiles thing, you won't really have to rearm as much anymore either, because you could just steal missiles off of ships. Maybe even like with like ballistic guns, if they haven't used all the ammo, they could pull the guns off. And I don't know how the ammo thing is going to work.
Yeah,
it's just going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dar.
Just not having to fight restocking missiles, which hasn't actually been a problem for me in 3.18, but being able to restock your own missiles completely eliminates the classic, like, you land, you rearm, you store your ship, you re-equip the missiles, it doesn't work, you claim the ship to get the missiles back.
Also going to make it so that you can turn like a Carrack into basically like a small shop, like kind of like a merchantman kind of thing. Like before those ships get released, you can turn any big ship into like a merchant shop and sell that stuff to players. So it creates a lot of different gameplay loops.
Yeah, you can buy components and sell them to pirates, so they don't have to make the trip to New Babbage or get things out of Cousin Crow's that a crime stat player can't reasonably access.
Okay. Do you think, let's listen more about like 3.19, because we don't know a ton. We know what we know from them is that you can remove these and you can lock them and such. But there's still a couple things in the air. I'll start with you in this, KG. What else would you like to know about this feature that CIG has not talked about yet? Things that might change your opinion on this addition in 3.19.
I guess like my one question would be like what you said with locking them. Doesn't the tractor beam have like some sort of tool that or the multi-tool attachment have a tool where you can cut stuff, like the little cutting thing? Yes. Are you able to cut locks off of like locked components to be able to steal those components? Like, is that going to be part of the gameplay when they release like being able to take components out? Like, that's my ultimate question, at least with pre-existing gameplay loops that we have.
being able to like force remove it no matter what the status is. Being able to
Yeah,
sit
like
there
how
with,
you can like cut a door open or whatever. Like, are you able to cut like some sort of lock off of whatever the locked components or what it's locked behind or whatever?
Okay. Dars, same question.
My big question is, for ships that, your favorite ship, the Redeemer, as an example, has size 3 components upstairs in the back. I don't think a size 3 quantum drive is going to fit down the ladder in a Redeemer. Are they going to, the Carrack is a good example too. I don't think the size 3s will be able to, pull them out of the back of the engineering area and get them all the way down that tunnel and out the front. Maybe it's possible, but it's got squeeze. And, they've talked in the past about, I think the Redeemer specifically has supposed to have like hatches on the top that open or something, but
you're breaking up a little bit.
Are they going to implement that?
Dar. You're kind of going.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah, I think you're good now, but I'll double check something. But yeah, go ahead and do this. There we go. That should be a little better. You were talking about like size 3, like some aspects of like the Carrack and that kind of stuff. You aren't able to remove them. Now I do know that we won't be able to remove size 3 components, at least for this next patch. But that is a good question, I think, going forward as well. How are you going to be able to do that?
Yeah. I mean, they were kind of unclear on the size components you'd be able to remove, because I think they have like ship sizes. I think they have like different internal references to component sizes, but
yeah. Last I heard it was 0 to 2 was what I heard.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that might be how they're getting around that issue, is it's the bigger ships that have like access issues.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the next major part. How do you see this changing going forward? How do you see this evolving? Because first off, obviously the first one is just more like adding components, removing components, maybe even have some economy or even restocking, adding a lot more availability to the gameplay. How do you see moving forward this gameplay evolving beyond just multi-tool with the tractor beam moving stuff around? Start with you, Dar.
I mean, I think it's going to tie into the other stuff they've been talking about. It's obviously it's kind of a first step of engineering gameplay. Eventually we're going to be pulling out fuses or replacing broken components. Physicalized damage will play heavily into, having to replace components. It doesn't happen often now that you actually have a broken component, because your ship is, will blow up before that happens. But, it's definitely like a step 1 or step 0 for, the bigger gameplay systems, kind of a crew focus that they've talked about for a long time.
Okay. KG, how do you think this is going to evolve, over let's just say over this next year or so, with this gameplay?
I don't know. It could go like 2 ways. It could just evolve. Like, my brain's not working right now.
It's okay.
Kind of like what Dar said, I guess. I don't know.
You don't know?
I'm kind of like, I'm mixed on it. Like I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's move on to the next question then. Let's talk a little more about what are some of the advantages of going forward? Like, obviously, this is the first step in a many-step process that CIG is going to do. What might be the advantages of this source of gameplay? What are some of the good things that can come out of this gameplay beyond the current, what's going to be coming in 3.19, in 3.20, 4.0, beta launch, the full game of Star Citizen? What are some of the things that this is going to kind of enable for players? We'll start with that one. We'll start with you, KG, on that one.
Multicrewing. I think multicrewing is gonna make that a lot more useful. You're gonna be able to actually have like people doing more or less like engineering kind of stuff with swapping components out. Because I'm gonna guess that you're gonna have component damage by that point, right?
Mhm.
Like I don't know if they did. I don't know if they said anything for 319 with component damage, but
I
it
don't think it
seems that
is.
way.
There may
Yeah,
be,
I don't.
yeah.
It
'Cause
could be. I don't. It just. I don't know.
is it currently?
If they do, huh?
Isn't there currently component damage? Can't you currently like damage your components?
You can. I think it's mostly with distortion and ballistic weapons, though. I've
Okay.
never really seen it happen with repeaters.
Okay.
But I have had issues where like coolers have gotten damaged and like weapons and stuff not being able to recharge, and even
Okay.
like power plants getting damaged. But yeah, I think it's gonna just expand the whole multi-crew aspect of running like big ships.
Do you see people actually buying like multiple versions of their coolers or quantum drives or shield generators and like keeping them in storage now, or do you think that's like even like 319 and beyond, or do you think that it's mostly going to be people focusing on like repairing those things?
I think people are gonna actually start buying like multiple stocks of that stuff for sure. Like at least for me, I'm definitely gonna be buying more than one component of each kind for each ship.
Okay.
I think people overall will do, your average player is going to do what they see as the easiest or the most effective way. People really like min-maxing, and if repairing components is the best way to do it, they'll repair components. If just replacing things is the best way to do it, that's what they'll do. If just claiming your ship is still the best way to get things repaired, then that's what they'll do,
I have a question with the claiming though. Like, I don't know if they said anything about it, but say your components get stolen. When you claim your ship, is your ship coming back with no components, or is it coming back with those components that were stolen?
That's a good question.
Like, I don't know how they're going to implement that. Because if it comes back with no components on it, then you're going to have to go buy all that stuff again and re-outfit it.
Or maybe it defaults to the default loadout. Because that's a question that's still up in the air
the
as
stock
well.
loadout, yeah.
Yeah, this question's up in the air. If you have a bunch of custom components, we don't know if that'll return in 319. I think everyone's assuming that's still going to be the case because CIG hasn't said anything. But that is a good question, though. Like, say you have a custom cooler that you purchase because you like that process. I don't think it does anything now, but you buy a custom thing because you like the color. Right? It doesn't matter. And that gets stolen. Does that mean when you reclaim the ship that's gone now because it's saves its status from that because it was the last one?
Yeah, I wonder too if they're gonna make it so that you can insure like your components as well.
I think that's definitely going to be the case in the future, but I don't know if that's going to be 319 because
I hope they go to resetting to stock loadout at some point, particularly for 319. I think. Going back to people are going to do the most efficient thing to make money. If you can claim your ship, or if you can pull your ship out, take all the components out, sell them, claim it, get them back, people are going to do that. If you remember Luminalia, what was it, like a year, not this year, but last year, and the packages were like, 10,000 UEC? People were spending literally hours running around the capital city picking up packages to grind money, like to the point where CIG was like, knock it off, and they toned down how much money they sold for. Like, people will do the most boring, mind-numbing, dumb thing to grind money in Star Citizen if you let them. And I think the obvious way to stop that is just make your ship reset to the default loadout when you claim it.
Okay. Also, though, if they keep that in play, like at least what they have in play for right now, like when you swap components out in your ship, you can't actually sell those stock components. No. So if they just keep it that way, then you're not going to be able to pull your ship, take your components out, and claim it, and then sell those components because you already can't.
They actually specifically talked about that, where like they make it so that I think they make it so possibly in 319 that you can, but by doing so, it's a crime. So
that's fair.
that's actually a good way of doing it.
It's illegal to do it. So you'd have to go to a place that has no questions asked terminals to do that, and
then make like a less profit on it.
Probably less profit on it, that it's worthwhile and stuff. So
that's actually a good idea for a start.
Yeah,
for sure. I can definitely see it changing like in the future, but I would agree with that. That's actually cool.
I think we already asked you, KG. I think, or was it Dar? I can't remember who was talking about. I think it's Dar, because we talked about like this long term. KG said physicalized, like multi-crew gameplay and such. So, the same question for you. What do you think long term this means for this kind of gameplay? Where's this leading to?
Yeah, it's definitely leading to multi-crew engineering gameplay. That's definitely like a clear focus, at least for this year, for them is the engineering gameplay. That's probably why they're enabling this now. They're just kind of putting this out ahead of I guess the Hammerhead is going to have engineering gameplay first, but it's kind of the beginnings of what's going to make multi-crew gameplay. I think anything that changes how much you value shipwrecks is really good. The SRV coming out hopefully with 319 as well, that's going to add gameplay. But I think anything that is going to bring players together in a way that might create conflict or might create cooperation is it's a good thing for the game.
So do you think this is? I'll ask you this question, Dara, and then I'll ask KG about this. Do you think this is going to force players to work together more?
I hope so. I think the magic of the game, the times where you have the most fun are when you are around other players. I never played the game by myself personally. I'm just kind of not that kind of gamer. I'm a very social gamer, but my best memories in Star Citizen are at Jump Town or at Xenothreat, or some shenanigans we got up to with the org or whatever. And I think CIG needs to, like, the best thing they can do is create systems and create missions or whatever that put people in the same space and see what happens, because it is so freeform as a game.
KG, same question. Do you think this is going to force people to work together more?
I think it will, but I also worry about the players that don't have many people to play together or play with.
How so?
I worry that it's kind of just gonna like screw those kind of people over. Like, it makes it feel like they're trying to force like more people to do more multi-crewing stuff. Even I don't know. I have like a feel bad feeling in my gut for like the people that don't like playing with other people and just kind of want to like the space trucker that just wants to kind of look solo.
Okay,
so I mean
okay.
yeah.
I was going to say that leads into my next question, which I'll ask you for this one, KG. Is what are some of the downsides this could lead to? What are some negative effects that this could lead to in the distant future, like finished game, Star Citizen sort of things? What are things that you're worried about this sorts of gameplay?
I think like I said, I think it just kind of screws over like the player, the casual player that just wants to cruise by themselves and doesn't have anybody to help them on any kind of multi-crew aspect when they're actually flying like big ships, which kind of sucks because like for the C2, I don't know, I think it's a max crew of 2, but like a lot of people just want to run like a C2 or whatever for cargo running. Like if they run into any kind of issues, they're not going to have anybody that's going to be able to run around and do some kind of engineering stuff. They're just maybe not social enough or whatever it is. I don't know. I just kind of I have like the worry for some of those players that just don't want it, like don't have many friends that play it or don't have any friends that play it.
Okay. Same question for you, Dar.
Yeah, I mean, I see that as a downside. I think I worry that there's a lot of people who play, only take the game as it is now and don't really know like what is planned, and the or people who imagine that things are going to be easier for solo players than they will be. The space dad that bought a BMM and talks about how he's going to crew it with an NPC crew and fly around the verse selling his wares. That's like probably never going to be an efficient or they've kind of said that yeah, NPC crew are going to be a thing, but no, they're probably not going to just crew your entire ship for you, or you're not going to have a whole fleet of NPC crewed ships. It's an MMO. It's always been an MMO. It's and that naturally involves other people. I imagine that if you're a solo player, you're going to be kind of limited to smaller ships. Maybe large size like honey size and down, but I would hope that there will be a disadvantage to trying to solo larger ships in the future. I could see that being a negative for people who don't want to play with other people, but it is an MMO.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the final question, kind of wrap up this discussion before we move on to the question and answers. And I'll start with you in the Star. Overall, do you think this is a positive or negative addition to Star Citizen?
Oh, it's super positive. It's really cool. I got really excited watching that ISC where they showed it off, and it feels like this year is turning into kind of like, this is all the stuff we can do now that entities persist. Okay. And I'm personally really excited about cargo gameplay evolving more, and I imagine the work they're doing with tractor beams will play into that, because I think tractor beams are going to be a big factor in loading and unloading ships and everything. But it's the systemic gameplay features are the things that get me the most excited for the game, more than ships or locations or anything. Stanton's really big. There's a lot we could do with more systems, and this is them directly adding a new system to the game. That's or a new way to interact with existing systems, really.
I haven't really been able to play with a lot of 318 until very recently, but I did an 18-hour stream the other day, and one thing I was doing, I was flying around, was like, there are so many derelict ships. Like,
everywhere.
Those ships in 319, those ships are going to be just stripped to the bone. Like, people just gonna be like, yes, mine, especially if they have the SRV working. So yeah, I could definitely see that this is that kind of a positive change, because it'll be, for everyone, will be like, finally, that ship is not blocking my exit when I'm trying to get out of the cargo bay, the hangar bay,
or even the ones that are just blocking like the entrance to bunker missions.
Yeah.
Like half the time you can't even get in a bunker because there's a blown up ship just sitting in front of it.
It's amazing how much that makes the world feel more lived in. It's sometimes it's annoying, and all of the empty white ships sitting around all those spaceports are kind of weird, but rolling up to a bunker and realizing how many people die in bunkers flying Auroras, based on the wrecks, it's really cool. It's like every place you go tells a little bit of a story of what might have happened. Last night we were out as a group, and before I got on, they killed an Idris, and I think they were doing missions that killed an Idris, and we were working on salvaging it, and I was kind of just flying around and running cover. But the way the Idris wreck landed on the planet almost looked like it was put there on purpose. And it was a little bit of Star Citizen jank. Some of the pieces were bouncing around a little bit, but it was really impressive. I landed next to the wreck a couple of times, and it's just so cool, and it's another example of like things that they coded a long time ago that we never saw, like the shipwrecks after a ship hard deaths. Like, you see the cool Idris explosion, and then the wreck disappears immediately. Well, it turns out there was a pretty well modeled wreck in there, and it'll land on a planet and look like a shipwreck. It's cool as shit.
KG, same thing. Do you think this is an overall positive or negative for Star Citizen?
I think it's positive. I think it's very exciting for a lot of the players. I'm really excited to see what more they're going to bring with it as well, future. But yeah, I'm thoroughly excited for it. Yeah,
awesome.
The multi-crew stuff is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm very much with y'all in terms of the multi-crew stuff. I always say that my goal for Star Citizen has always been, can I play the game, explore random places, shoot lasers and or bullets, and do so with my friends. If those 4 things are happening, then I am a happy gamer, because those are the things I like to do.
Yeah, a happy camper for sure.
Yes. So, thank you for joining us, KG. Go ahead, Dar.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say, thank you for joining us, KG and Dar. Make sure that you check out TheRealKG on Twitch, and Dar. You'll find Dar on that channel as well, I guess, as well as their organizations.
I'm there.
And that'll be it for this discussion section. So if you're watching this after the fact on the Monday afterwards, you can always watch the full VOD that'll be up. I'll have the link right above Dar's head, and also in the comments, or not the comments, but in the description below, where you can go watch the full stream. We do stream this live on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub and youtube.com/TheAstroPubLive. Come join us live and ask your own questions if you want to. I would love to have you here. And if you did enjoy this, make sure that you are following TheRealKG on Twitch. Make sure that you are subscribed to us here on YouTube. Hit the like button to help us spread the word a little bit. And comment down below on your own thoughts on this changes for grappling, grappling beams, tractor beams, and shipping loadouts, and all the future of this sort of gameplay in Star Citizen. Love to hear that, your thoughts on that as well. But for now, thank you for joining us, and like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.